Yo, what up, immortal jellyfish? It's your boy, Mr. Everything Man here, back with another video. So, ready or not, 2020 is here, not just the year, but the entire decade. That's right, choo choo, we're here. We're at the station. So, as we go sailing into the greatest decade of all time, as I'm sure we'll look back on it, and at least, the greatest decade of your life, um, I, you know, I got around at the end of 2019 to think like, all right, what is going to be the theme for me? What am I going to try to do? Obviously, a decade ago, I wasn't really old enough to. Yeah, I was still a kid a decade ago, so I wasn't contemplating such philosophical quandaries as this. But I got to thinking what the theme would be for me, and it just seems the pieces, especially through the year of 2019, have slowly fallen into place. With my procrastination and laziness and all that kind of stuff. Where like I had this burning desire to do things constantly. All these creative ideas flowing around in my mind, but they just moved too fast for me to catch them, and I just did. There's just this overwhelming laziness that just was a major roadblock for me. It prevented me from really advancing in what I wanted to do. So I put a lot of thought into it, and I thought like, what? For me, this is going to be the decade of motivation. Motivation and endurance. Now, endurance is something I've been working on for a while now, and I think I think I'm getting the hang of that. I'm not going to say I've perfected it because, I'm not going to say that. I obviously still have a ways to go, but my endurance is exponentially better than it was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, even 1 year ago. So, and I'm sure it'll be exponentially better a few years from now. And guess what? I can't wait for that. But I'm not here to talk about me. I'm here to talk about you and how things that I have concocted in my mind may very well help you or someone you know. Hopefully both. Now, I'm going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room here. I tried making this video. Well, I tried making it technically twice. The first time was for my Happy New Decade video. The original version was over an hour long, was broken up into 4 pieces that I intended to merge together, and was just a completely incoherent, scatterbrained mess. I was, shall we say, really hyped up at the time, so I was just spewing things out of my mouth, and I figured I'd wait to upload it until the next day when I watched it back, and I thought like, oh man, this is gonna be so awesome, yeah, I'm gonna look back on this and I'm gonna get all excited and worked up about it, and I'm gonna go, I'm gonna double down on it. But I looked back on it and I was like, what is this? What is this crap? I don't remember saying any of this. Why would I say any of this? So a good thing I didn't submit it or upload it right then and there. But the next night I eventually, because I had planned things a couple days in advance sometimes, so the next night I eventually re-recorded it into something much more concise, which is what you got with the Happy New Decade video, which still, it could have fooled you that it was my first take doing that one, probably, but, it kind of was, because that was more in my mind then. But the second time I tried making this, I actually did upload it. I made a video called Let's Talk Motivation and Endurance, which is probably going to be the title of this video as well. But it was a rough draft of the video. It was 27 minutes long. I'm not sure how long this one's going to be, but I think shorter than that. Don't hold me to it, but I think so. And it didn't really. It took a while to get into it, and I figured, you know what? I gotta just cut right to the sandwich. That's one of my mottos, right? So just give the people something they could just wrap their tentacles around right away. So, and I wasn't satisfied because after I got done recording, I thought of all details that I left out and everything. So what I ended up doing was, even though the video had already finished uploading and was public, I privatized it. So that video is taken down now, and I'm replacing it with this one. So this isn't a duplicate upload, folks. I might put re-upload in the parentheses of the title, whatever. Anyway, enough jabbering here, enough quibbling. Let's cut right to the sandwich here. Okay, so here's an analogy that's, so for motivation, I had a quick intro I wanted to say, which was, I used to think, well, my entire life, I thought, as I believe a significant amount of people, arguably most people even think, that there has to be a reason for you to be motivated, that, you know, like, oh yeah, no problem, I can have motivation, I can, like, care about stuff and everything, if there's something to care about, if there's a reason for it, if there's a specific goal that I'm working towards that's, like, dangling right in front of me, then yeah, sure, I'll go out of my way to reach for it. But the thing is, what I'm now starting to realize is that you got to be motivated first in order for that to happen. Now, obviously, there are a few lucky exceptions in famous cases and such, but you can't rely upon that because it's extremely rare. For the vast majority of people, 99.9% of the population, you have to work really hard to be successful, and the number one, you know, thing, the fire behind that is motivation. So you got to be motivated to do it. You know, you gotta put the oomph into it. But I wanted to briefly touch on motivation because motivation is sort of like the umbrella concept here. But the thing I'm probably going to spend the most time talking about is endurance, which is a specific aspect of motivation. Because you have to be motivated. I just invent a new word. You have to be motivated to get your endurance up. Let me explain. I concocted what I consider to be a brilliant analogy a little while back that I told to a friend. Who was struggling with motivation, endurance, and all that. And so it goes like this, and it goes, you know what, I don't need to preface it. Here it goes. So imagine it's your goal to ride a bike 10 miles, okay? And let's suppose you're presented with two options here. Option A, it's pretty straightforward. You go to a destination that's 5 miles away, and you come back. So 5 miles each way, that's a round trip of 10 miles. There you go. There's your 10 miles. Second option, you start from your house, and there's a 1 mile loop that you go around that just goes like in a circle, basically, around your house. And you make it your goal to go around this 1 mile loop 10 times, you know, for a total of 10 miles. Which one are you going to choose? So I want you to pause the video and really think about it and act like this is a real choice that you actually have to make in your life. And come back to this when you've made your decision. Alright, so you may consider this one of those personality test videos on YouTube or elsewhere on the internet. But don't worry, this isn't BuzzFeed, alright? We're going to give you, like, actual results here. Why am I saying we? I'm going to give you actual results here. So, let me tell you some stuff, because, you know, being a PhD and, you know, licensed neurologist here, I can tell you all about the you know, brain chemistry and stuff like that. Now, I do have a history with psychology, but I'm completely self-taught, so, you know, just full disclosure out there. But I do know a thing or two. I've been around the block a time or two, and let me tell you a completely honest and unexaggerated breakdown of what your choice says about your personality. So if you choose in option A, it's completely arbitrary and subjective, obviously, but based on my personal taste, I would go with option A. I think that is the better choice, and here's why. Because you're not playing it safe. Let me explain option B first, and then maybe option A will make sense more. With option B, you're staying closer to home. You're staying in a familiar, safe environment. Right, you're not, and it's the same scenery for 10 times. So by, you know, basically after the first lap, you're very well acquainted with your scenery. You know what you're going to pass and when. It's very predictable. It's predictable. It's safe. If anything happens, the furthest point you are in this whole thing is half a mile away from home, which is nothing. You can walk that in no time. You know, you can practically see your house for this whole loop. But, you know, so you're playing it safe. You're doing it comfortable and all of that. And here's the other thing, too, is that let's be honest, are you actually going to go around all 10 times? Probably not. You'll probably feel proud of yourself if you make it around like at least 5 times. Because what'll happen then is after like 5 miles, which is, you know, to be fair, that's a pretty considerable amount of mileage, you'll start to feel fatigued, you know, you'll start to get like out of breath and maybe, you know, break a sweat and, you know, you'll be like, all right, time out, you know, I need to call, I'm throwing in a towel here, you know, I need to get back home. And, you know, you'll very easily convince yourself that you can't go on anymore. And you come to your house and you say, well, you know what? It's a start. And, you know, I'm proud of myself. Next time I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do all 10. And, you know, you probably won't. But, you know, it's that same thing keeps happening. It's the good enough mindset. It's the settling attitude. Well, here's what happens if you go with option A. You're committing to it. That's a commitment. Because assuming like, you know, the way I'm picturing this destination 5 miles away, it's in the middle of nowhere, basically. So there's not anything between your house and this destination. It's just like a dirt road in the middle of a field somewhere, you know, like there's not exactly somewhere to stop, you know, every few minutes. So it's not very familiar, and for the sake of argument, let's say this is a place you've never been to before. The destination is important because the way, you know, I'm picturing it as you just go to there as like a checkpoint and then turn around and come back. But what'll happen there is in the other example I gave, you know, it was after 5 miles, 5 laps, which would be 5 miles that you got fatigued. Well, guess where you'll be in 5 miles here? At the furthest point that you can be in this entire journey. Now, there's no shortcut. There's only this one dirt road that goes, it's a straight line, and it's 5 miles. So it's the only way to get back home. So it's, you know, so the stakes are higher in this one, because guess what? Now, all of a sudden, it hits you all at once now, like a ton of bricks. You're feeling fatigued, and, you know, you're out of breath, you're sweating. You know, and then it also hits you, you know, like you're ready to go home, you're ready to, you know, call it a day, throw in the towel, you know, and relax or go to bed or whatever. And then it hits you, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm 5 miles away from home, and the only way I can get home is if I ride this bike for 5 more miles. And 5 miles is all I can take because it took me 5 miles to get here, and I'm spent. That's the furthest I've ever gone. So I need to do all of that over again twice in a row without taking any break. And guess what? If you take any breaks, then it's going to be longer till you get home, and it's going to drag it out. And guess what? You can't do anything else until you get home. Now imagine, like, you either don't have your phone with you, or it's dead, or whatever. Like, you know, you don't. There's no lifelines here. You know, it's just. And there's no cars, it's like 3 a.m. or whatever, and there's no houses in this journey, it's, you know, so there's no one to come pick you up, no one you can flag down or anything, you don't have a phone, so you gotta get home. That's your only option. Well, like it or not, you can't give up, you can't quit, you can't just say, alright, you know what, that's fine, I'm going to the house. No, you have to finish your goal. You're in it to win it now, you've committed to it. So, you know, and you know, in the other scenario, you may have tricked yourself into thinking that 5 miles is the maximum you can do, but guess what? You're going to do it. You're going to finish those 5 miles because it's your only choice, you know? That's what the stakes are, is you either, like, spend the rest of the night, basically, in nowhere and don't get home and don't, you know, be in the comfort of your own house and don't do anything else, or you just muster up the courage and you power through it and you use the energy that you didn't think you had and, you know, catch your second wind, basically, your exercise high, because that's a real thing, you know, runner's high, you know, biker's high, whatever, I would know. And so, you know, and you're going to do it and you're going to get to your house, and you know what, you're going to be so much better off for it. You're going to be so proud of yourself, because with the other option, deep down inside, you're going to feel like a failure, because you're going to know, my goal was 10 miles, and I just couldn't do it. I had tried it several times, but I always gave up. You know, I made it to 7 this time, but it's still not 10. It's still not what I wanted to do, you know, and it's going to take you so much longer. It's going to take you several attempts, and every time you're going to have to go through the whole ordeal of getting it set up, you know, hyping yourself up for it, getting yourself ready, getting in the zone and everything, working up a sweat, having to take a shower when you get back and everything like that, all that's involved in going for a bike ride, and you have to do this over and over again to still not get it, still not reach that goal, and you're going to be mad at yourself, and you say, geez, why can't I do this? Why, you know, you're going to beat yourself up about it. Well, guess what? If you do this one, you're going to get it on the first time, because the first 5 miles is a cakewalk. You'll probably be so distracted, you'll be, you know, lost in thought or listening to music or, you know, whatever, and you won't, you know, it'll be easy. But then the way back, that's when it really hits you. But by that point, it's too late, because you're already headed home. You're getting closer to home with every second that you pedal. You know, you're on the fastest possible route to your destination. So with that one, you're going to get it right the first time. Or at least you have a much higher chance of getting it right the first time, assuming you actually, you know, don't turn around before the 5 miles. But I can pretty much guarantee you're going to get more miles in than if you do the 1 lap, you know, circle. 1 mile circle, excuse me. And the reason for that, well, yeah, it's pretty obvious. I don't have to spell it out anymore. I think you get the idea. It's about commitment. It's about forcing yourself to do it. And the only way that if you have low self-discipline or low self-esteem or anything, the only way you can guarantee that you're going to do it is if it's your only option. So that's what you got to do, and then every time you do that, it's going to be easier and easier. Because keep in mind, this isn't a one-time thing. This is rewiring your brain to think that way about other things, trivial things, and much more important things. Because let's go back to the other option. What you're doing with that one is you're training your brain to give up, to settle, to say, hey, you know what, it's good enough, I tried. You're patting yourself on the back, buying yourself an ice cream, just saying, don't worry about it. And so what that's going to do is it's going to lead to lower success rates in life. This is a proven fact. This isn't theory here. I'm not hypothesizing this. There are actual studies done on this. They didn't use my example, but it's very similar here. I'm sure it's based on something. So, that's what you're doing, and you'll be more gullible, and, you won't work as hard for things. You'll just, grab the first thing that comes to mind. You'll probably, just marry the first person that you love and loves you and whatever. You're not going to go ahead and examine your options. If someone pressures you into buying something, you'll be more impulsive. That's the word I'm looking for. You'll make impulsive purchases, and just say I don't know, the guy who sold it to me was really piping the product up. He said it would be really good, and I didn't want to let him down. I didn't want to say no to him. I mean, what if I run into him again? That would be awkward, and besides, I just wanted him to leave me alone, so I just bought the product. And then the next day you'll be mad at yourself again. Oh, why would I buy this? I can't afford this. This is stupid. When am I ever going to use this? Whatever. And then and you'll feel bad about it. And as opposed to if you have the proper endurance levels to not cave, to not give into that stuff, you'll say all right, now what you're saying very well may be true, Mr. Salesman. Your product very well may be the best on the market. But let me go ahead and evaluate that claim. Let me go speak with your competitors. I'm going to do my research when I get home and see if I can get a better deal. If there's a rival product that would make more logical sense to buy, to get something that would fulfill my life more, and then we'll see. And then you know what? Guess what? If your product turns out to still be the best, then I'll get it. Patience. That's part of it as well. Patience, endurance. It's kind of the same thing. But, still continuing the theme of exercise, this goes with a workout, too. It's like, if you want to go for longer workouts, all right, I'm going to do 12 reps this time. I usually do 10, but this time I'm going to do 12. Well, in most cases, if you're at a gym or your house or wherever you're working out, the stakes probably aren't that high. Now, it is scientifically proven that you're more likely to perform well if you have a friend there or someone you care about, because you'll subconsciously, even if you're not consciously doing it, but subconsciously, you'll be out to impress them. So you'll want to show off, oh yeah, I could do. Yeah, it's no big deal. Here, let me go for the even heavier weights. Yeah, I'll show you. So it's a subconscious reaction, which is why group workouts are very effective. It creates a friendly competition, healthy competition. And everyone's trying to outdo each other, which is just a win-win, because it adds some element of fun into it, some game, because let's admit it, where there's competition, there is some degree of fun involved in it. It can be stressful, I know, but deep down, there's a part of you that's having fun when you're competing in something. And it's a win-win because it's better for you, it's more exercise, you're raising your endurance and all the benefits that come with that you probably weren't even aware of. So that's one thing. But if you're just by yourself or something, the stakes aren't very high. The world's not going to blow up if you don't do those extra 2 reps. Nothing happens. There's no punishment. There's no consequence. As opposed to in the bike ride example, if you don't go all 10 miles, you don't get home. It's as simple as that. It's like, as one final example to just really hammer it home here. I live about 100 miles from Orlando, so that's, 2 hours at night, 3 hours during the day. So, we go to parks sometimes. I'll take Universal, for example, because that's something that's fresh on my mind. So suppose, you go to Universal and the park's open till, 10 o'clock maybe, which, if you go to Magic Kingdom or something, sometimes they're open till midnight or 1 a.m., so it can be even later. But suppose, they're open till 10 o'clock, and you want to stay till they close and everything. So it's like 10:30 and you get out of the park, and then you're hungry and you want to eat, and you're like, yeah, you know what? I just want to walk around and city walk or wherever. I just want to have a good time. Look at all this stuff. There's a bunch of cool things to look at. There's live shows and everything. There's cool people here. Let me just hang out here for a while. And before you know it, it's like 1 a.m. And then you start. You start yawning a little bit, you're getting a little tired and all that. You're like, all right, what, I think I'll head back to the car. This has been a fun night. We've been here a while. I think it's time to head home. And so eventually you get out of the garage, out of this hubbub of the city and all that. You get onto the dark, lonely highway at, like 1:30 a.m. and you're the only car on the road. And all of a sudden it hits you, oh, crap, I'm 2 hours from home. And then, once you sit down in the car and everything, it's like, it's nice and comfortable. You're getting sleepier and sleepier by the minute. It's getting late now. It's about the time you usually go to bed, and you just you want to relax, unwind, and go to bed. But you can't, because now you have to drive this car for 2 hours until you get home. Your only other options are to spend money on a hotel, which depending on the circumstances might not be possible because maybe you have something to do bright and early the next day and you can't make the 2-hour drive after you get up or whatever. Suppose that's the case, for the sake of argument. A hotel's out of the question. You have to come home that night. Or you pull over and try to get some sleep in your car, which I don't know about you, but for me it's really hard to sleep in a car, especially in the front. Recline the driver's seat and then when you wake up you have your neck hurts and you have a headache and everything, and you're not going to feel like driving then. It's just going to make it worse. It's going to make you more sleep deprived because you're not going to get any REM sleep. It'll be like really shallow, crappy sleep, and then it'll just be even later until you get real sleep. It'll be even longer until you get to your own bed, So, or the third option, the only other option you have is to just get it over with and to just drive and spend the next 2 hours just driving until you get home, and that teaches you, endurance, because then the next time, you would usually complain about, driving 5 minutes to go to the McDonald's drive-thru if you had the munchies late at night and forgot to buy groceries or something. Maybe next time you'll say, you know what, like subconsciously even, you know what, I drove 2 hours when I really, really didn't feel like it. So I can drive 5 minutes when I'm just a little, just when it's just a minor inconvenience, whatever. Like it creates those neural pathways. It gets those neurons fired up. Wow, we're at 22 and a half minutes. So 2 more things I want to touch on real quick. One is an example with movies. If you're watching a movie at home, which nowadays I feel like most people watch most of their movies at home. We have this luxury now that, you can pause the movie as often as you want and, go to the bathroom, go get some food, do whatever you want, take a phone call, whatever you kids do, and, you can pause it, you can rewind. Wait a minute, what was that? What did this character just say? Oh, let's just rewind it, let's turn subtitles on, whatever it is you do. Well, and then, if you're used to doing that and you just do that all the time, which some people in my family do, then when you go to the movie theater, it can be a struggle, to sit in, or to sit in that movie theater for 2 or 3 hours straight and not go to the bathroom, not get more food, because if you do that, then you miss part of the movie and they're not going to rewind it just for you, so you miss out. You either miss part of the movie or, you don't go to the bathroom and you don't get food, you don't take any breaks, whatever, you only get one chance. If you're talking to your friend during the movie or whatever and you miss something that turned out to be important, you can't rewind it, you can't watch it over again, so, you just got to assume all of it's important, so the stakes are higher there, in the movie theater there's actual stakes, as opposed to at home you could do whatever you want. So if you do what I'm saying at home, it trains yourself to be lazy, or wires your brain to expect to just do whatever you want, and then it's a shock when you go to a movie theater or something and you can't do that. It's better to just, train yourself to have the endurance to watch a movie the way it's meant to be watched. I'm sorry, this is something I feel passionate about. It makes me irrationally angry. Just watch the blasted movie the way it's meant to be watched in one sitting, and don't talk during it, and don't, do whatever you can eat before it. Just make sure you have your buffet of food lined up, before it starts, whatever. But don't take any breaks, because that way, when you have to do that in the movie theater, it'll be easy because you do that all the time anyway. So I think you get what I'm trying to say here. The other thing I wanted to say is vaguely related. Take cold showers. That's one thing I've been doing. I've been on team cold showers ever since about December of 2018. So a little while now, like over a year. Fun fact, I have always hated, and this is not a word I use very often, but I hated cold water. I could not stand it. And I'm still not fond of it. I mean, I don't think very many people are. It's not a very pleasant sensation. Like, I have this pool right behind me here, and we have a heater, but we very, very, very rarely use it. So, like, in the winter, it gets down to, the pool gets down to, like, 60-degree water, 55-degree water, which for those of you that live in, like, places that aren't Florida, that might not seem that bad. But here in Florida, anything below 80 degrees is cold water. So, it's better on my skin, though. That is one thing I could say swimming with is that. But cold showers, I can't say I'm immune to it. Like, it still is, I'd still rather not, but it's much better now than it was a year ago. Like, I've gotten used to it, because it's like, I know what to expect now. But the main thing, my main piece of advice when taking cold showers, don't give yourself time to think about it. Don't hesitate. Turn it all the way to the sea, which is what I do every time, and just get right up in there. Now, I start with my hair. I go from the top down, so I just stick my hair right under that stream of water just immediately as soon as I turn the water on. And then after the first 5 seconds, I'm like, well, you know what? I'm already in here. My hair is already soaked. I already have cold water all over me. I might as well just get this over with. And then it encourages you, take a quicker shower, move on with your day and everything. It helps you save water in the process. It's easier on your skin, too. That's another fun fact. And then also, excuse me, also, cold showers, there's so many medical benefits to cold showers as opposed to warm showers. If you do your research, it helps with depression, it helps with self-esteem and confidence and all that. Like, these are all long-term. It's not immediately, obviously, because, you feel homeless and poor in a cold shower in the moment. But long-term, if you do this every day, every time you take a shower for, like, a year, I'm noticing results now. Ever since I started, I've noticed profound improvement as of, like, maybe 2-3 months in. Wow, this is how long the other one was. So let me wrap it up here. So, yeah, cold showers, do that, just do it. Just get right up in there with the potatoes. Cut right to the sandwich, and just don't even think about it, because the logic is just get it over with, and then it'll be over. But yeah, so motivation, endurance, be motivated. Don't wait for things to come to you. You got to go to them, right? There's something you feel passionate about, then, you go, you stop at nothing to make it happen, all right? I believe in you. You can do it. It's your power. This is going to be your decade, all right? You hear me? Whatever your name is, this is the decade of insert your name here. This is when you will rise. You will show the world what you're truly capable of. And all those who doubted you, they will kneel at your throne, all right? You're going to be on the top of the peak of the mountain of consciousness looking down at the valley of humanity, and it's all because you're going to master motivation, and you're going to master endurance, and you are going to be the ruler of your own world, the boss of your own universe, so go out there and make it happen. Good night, good decade.